Hello friends, it's BorasLegend here, and today's time for a new video. We have the top 5 formations in FIFA 19 after about 3 months. We had a lot of patches, and it's safe to say now, also after watching a lot of pro tournaments, that these are the top 5 formations in the game. Starting off, we have a very special choice. It is a 4-3-3 defensive, which is a very underrated choice this year. And this gives a great balance. I haven't seen this being used a lot in pro tournaments, but it is very effective in draft and in for champions. And this simply gives great stability in the defense with 1 CDM and 2 little helpers on the midfield with the CMs. And also, of course, the chances to counterattack with the wingers and the striker, always 3 up front. And here you want to use 2 pretty technical midfielders here, because these ones will act pretty much as cams when you attack, well, box-to-box players, maybe players like Goretzka, or if you have, of course, the coins, you can use players like Ballack or Gullit. And this is more the anchor type, players like, well, Kante or Vieira. This will be the cleaner, players like Fabinho as well. And then, of course, also we have the top positions, where always in this game you're gonna use a right-footed to the left side and a left-footed to the right side. And for this formation, fast wingers would be very useful. And when it comes to instructions for the 4-3-3 defensive, it's actually very interesting, because there's actually no need to use any instructions at all. And this is because this is simply very balanced. We have players in all the positions on the pitch, but if you want to use something, I would recommend stay at the back for the CDM and for the wingbacks to give some more stability in the defense. But I tried out this a lot, and I'm finding it that the top trio works the best without any instructions at all. And finally, we have the tactics for the 4-3-3 defensive, and here I like to play press after possession loss to win the ball back fast, and also fast build up. And I'm gonna explain this why, because you want the wingers and the 2 CMs to move up fast in their positions. And one final thing about the 4-3-3 is that you need to be a technical player. Sometimes it is hard to find passing options without having a cam, and that is why you will have to twist and turn sometimes to find that passing option. So yes, this is the formation for a technical player. On the 4th place, we have the 4-4-2, who was one of the best formations last year, but it is still there in FIFA 19. Driven passes are not as effective, which sometimes can cause problems to find the strikers, because always when it comes to a formation without a cam, you need to have a little bit more patience in your build-up play. But the 4-4-2 works brilliant, and it works also with all possible teams. Even though you don't have the best budget, this is a formation that works. And here you have 2 CMs, one that is maybe more defensive and one that is more attacking and technical, to get that variation on the midfield. And same here as with the 4-3-3, we're gonna have a right-footed on the left side and a left-footed on the right side. I mean, if it's possible, find a player with 5-star weak foot. That is a golden trait in FIFA 19. And always here we're gonna have 2 strikers, which will make it possible also to make counter attacks, and especially with these left and right mids just lurking forward. And also we have the instructions for this one. I would recommend to use getting behind for the strikers, and stay at the back for the CMs and for the fullbacks, the wingbacks, to get some more balance on the midfield and some, of course, some more defensive stability using stay at the back. I have seen some players using getting behind also for the wingers here, but I don't think it's necessary, because it causes some kind of misbalance in your build-up play with the wingers going forward too much, because they are a great option in your build-up play, and they will still get in behind. They will still make these dangerous runs behind opponent's defensive line, even though you play them unbalanced. Finally, we have the custom tactics for the 4-4-2. I would just go with a balanced option, since this is simply, yes, a balanced formation that you can play in many different ways with. You can play possession play, and you can also play a faster build-up. A problem sometimes with the 4-4-2 is that it is simply too wide and too much space between every part of the team, but that can also be a strength, using it to simply open up the opponent's defensive line. Third place we have the classical 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, which is also called a diamond and is well, one of the most traditional Ultimate Team formations, and this gives you great opportunities for the counterattacks and also great stability in the defense here with these 3 center mids. It's very, very compact, and this formation is mainly for very direct players who likes to go forward fast, because you always have the triangle here up front with the 2 strikers and the cam, which is lethal, and the seams will also support here the attacking trio. Just using here a very powerful CDM, just like in the 4-3-3 defense, a player like Fabinho or Kanté, he's just going to clean here. On the midfield we have box-to-box players here. The best, of course, if you can find someone with the 5-star weak foot. Otherwise I would play a left-footed here and a right-footed here to cut in for the finesse shots, which is the most powerful way of finishing in FIFA 19. And for the cam position, I mean, this is a key position in the diamond. This links up the midfield and the striker, and this guy has to be very versatile. We're talking about players like Neymar, Mahrez, or if you have the budget, players like Pele or Ronaldinho. They need great dribbling, passing, and of course shooting here. And a big bonus also if they have the right pace, because the cam position here will make a lot of supporting runs behind the defensive line. Instructions for the diamond: getting behind for the strikers. We want them to just make runs to be dangerous for the counterattacks, and we want to create this triangle up front to just be lethal for the counters, and that is why we're playing stay forward here. For the cam position, we don't have to touch the CMs, but we want our CDM to stay at the back, and same for our wingbacks. And for the wingbacks, we're always using stay back while attacking, simply because in the game we can just activate attacking fullbacks when we have the need, if we're trailing or if we're dominating but can't find the net. And the same goes here for the diamond: stay back while attacking. And if you activate the fullbacks in this formation, you will see a lot of dangerous runs here from the fullbacks, because you can see here that, well, the pitch is completely open for the wingbacks here. They have no teammates that will interfere with their runs here, and this will also create some kind of whiff for the diamond, and it's actually a very interesting choice, but also gives a lot of opportunities for your opponent to counter you. And that is why it should only be used when you are trailing or when you feel that you are dominating but can't score. Custom tactics suggestion for the diamond: we have balanced playing 6-6 and fast build up for the attack, which is just to simply encourage this counter attacking playstyle. And we will also help out with the narrow constellation by adding some extra width. You can play 6 or 7 here, and also some more runs here from the attackers with about 6 or 7 here for players in box. The diamond is a great choice for weekend league, and it will help you score the easy goals, but it is not as good as in FIFA 18, where you can also play it on a pro level very successfully. This year is simply not as good because the driven pass is not as powerful, and also defending is slightly easier, which means that you can defend easier against this attacking trio. But still, it is a great choice for FIFA 19 as well. On the second place we have the 4-2-2, which was also one of the best formations last year. This gives you a lot of options in attack. You can see that this is very compact, which means you can find the quick passing. Of course, it doesn't have the cam, which sometimes can cause problems, but if you are good on the ball and if you're using your cams in a great way here and helping out with the midfielders in your attack, it will be no bigger problem. And for all formations with the 2 central midfielders, I'm preferring to have one more defensive one warrior on the midfield and one magician, which is changing of course depending on your budget. But for example, if you have a lower budget, Fabinho and maybe Modric or something like that, and if you have a top tier team, that would be Vieira and Gullit. And for the cams, well, this can actually fool you, because the cams here, they will not actually play like cams, they will play more like wingers, and they need attributes of a winger, which means great pace and great dribbling. Right-footed on the left side and left-footed on the right side, always in FIFA 19, and the same here goes for our dear strikers. Instructions for the 4-2-2, getting behind for our strikers, and for the cams we don't have to touch them. I've seen some players using stay forward for the cams, but well, then it turns out to a 4-4-2 and create some kind of misbalance. And also, if your opponent plays stay at the back for his wingbacks, which most the players would do, they kind of take out these cams totally, and they just become invisible, and that is why I like to have them here on default. And for the CDMs, we can just play here, stay at the back, and same for our wingbacks. A lot of players here are also using cut passing lanes and cover center for the midfield, and this I've been testing out this a lot. It doesn't create a huge difference. Cut passing lanes will of course help out a little bit more if you have problems to manually defend with your center backs, but it will also of course come with a price, because you can't apply the same pressure, since your CDMs simply will drop down more, which will harm your pressure play. And this one is a bit misleading here, this text, because default is cover wing, but they will still stay central. It is just sometimes when the wingbacks are on some kind of adventure, they will help out more and cover his play. So I still think that default here is the best choice. They will, well, almost always still try to cover the mid. And this is pretty similar to the 4-4-2 here, the suggestion for the custom tactics. It is balanced and just using here slightly less for players in box to just trying to help out with that, let's say, gap between the midfield and the strikers, trying to get a little bit more of passing options. Overall, the 4-2-2 is a great choice this year, especially since it's so compact in the defense, and two strikers always gives you options for the counter attacks. And finally, we have the best formation in FIFA 19. Well, surprise, surprise, it is a 4-2-3-1, which is by far the best formation, and especially if you're playing a very tough opponent. This simply gives you perfect balance. You have everything you can ask for. You have two central defensive midfielders here helping out in the defense, also helping out in your build-up play. You have three cams, one linking up to the striker, and you have these two side cams, which are lethal because they are finding themselves in very good positions for the finesse shots, which is the meta in FIFA 19. That is what you want to achieve in the attack. And of course, you're using a right-footed to the left side and a left-footed to the right side, to just trying to, well, shoot as many finesse shots towards the far post as possible. And for the striker, we want a fast and strong striker, and the best possible thing, yes, if you can find one with 5-star weak foot, which is always more important if you're playing with a sole striker. Makes it so much harder for the opponent to predict where you're going to move, left or right. He can shoot in any possible direction or foot, and I'm talking about players like, maybe we have Ben Yedder is fantastic this year, or if you have the budget, of course, you can play with players like R9. And we have the instructions for the 4-2-3-1, which I prefer to play it. Getting behind for the striker, he's going to threaten, he's going to terrorize the opponent's defense. And here I'm seeing a lot of variation for the cams. I prefer to have the central cam staying forward to help out the striker, to not isolate him too much. And for the side cams, I actually prefer to have them on default. I'm seeing a lot of variation here, as I said. I think it depends on who you're facing. If you're playing against a very defensive player and you're staying forward with the cams, they will kind of disappear in the build-up play, because in FIFA 19, if you put stay forward, they will really stay forward, so you can turn out to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-4 even with the instructions. But I prefer slightly more balance. That is why I have only the central cam staying forward. And for the CDMs, same as with the 4-2-2, I just use here stay back while attacking. You could use, like I said, cut passing lanes if you feel that it is a too big gap between the center backs and the midfield. And also, of course, for the wingbacks, always using stay back while attacking. And finally, we have the custom tactics for the 4-2-3-1. Well, it is very similar as for the 4-2-2, simply because they are almost identical. These two formations, one have 2 strikers and the other one has 3 cams. But yes, pretty much the same, just balanced as a suggestion. You could also use a press after possession loss to add some more pressure to your opponent if you feel that your pressure is not good enough, that your opponent is having too much possession, or simply if you're just dominating and want to smash your opponent. But you have to remember that they will get more tired. So that is also why I prefer to start out with balanced. And for the attack, just balance as well. You could use here some more on players in box to help out that sole striker. And yes, 4-2-3-1 is simply the best choice for FIFA 19. You can play in so many different ways. It works in weekend league, pro games, draft, you name it. And you can customize also this formation so much with the changing the instructions here for the cams. Alright guys, that is it for today. I hope you appreciated this formation guide for FIFA 19. If you did so, make sure to drop a like. Thank you so much for watching, as always, until next time.